And on your regression day 4 notes on the back of your homework, if you haven't already, this little box here is supposed to have all your formulas. I know it says others. Don't worry about this. We've never really used that one. But your main 4 are these. You would take your x values and then transform your y values into the log of y. I'll show you guys how to do this in just a second. You will take your x values and do log of x and log of y. Or you'll leave your x values alone and do the square root of y. Or you'll leave your x values alone and do 1 divided by y. We don't know which one's going to be the best one. And there's no particular order to really say, do this one first. It always works more than everything else works less. So a lot of it has to do with just, experimentation with this stuff. Luckily, we don't run into thousands of nonlinear regression type data. It pops up once, maybe twice. And so these steps are not something you're going to have to do every time. But basically, we're going to type our regular data in like we see it into L1 and L2. We're going to run our regression stuff like normal. We're going to check our regular stat plot to get our scatter plot. We're also going to check the residuals. Remember, we need to look at both of them. We're going to make sure that there's no pattern in our residuals. If everything is good, then we're fine. So we won't know that it's nonlinear until we get to that point. And then if we see a pattern or we see some weird shape in our data, then we're going to have to do these other steps right here. So without putting all my answers up here, Mr. G, I didn't think about writing on my example. Oh, there we go. Here's my data here at the bottom. So we're going to type that into our calculator. This will be my L1 and this will be my L2. You're going to want to have as many cleared lists as possible, so you don't have to retype all these things in. So go ahead and put these points into your data here. So 0.1364, that kind of stuff. All right, so it looks like we're comparing the size of a mammal's heart to the length of the cavity of the left ventricle in weight. So random data. Mouse, rat, rabbit, dog, sheep, ox, and horse. I always get a kick out of where we get these data things from. All right, has everybody got the list? Yeah, let me get my answers out of the way, Mr. G. I was working on these earlier so I can make sure I'm doing right. So first thing we're going to want to do is check our data. What do we have in front of us? Is it linear? Because if it is, then everything's fine. Life goes on. We don't worry about anything. But if we see issues, we got to fix it. So to remind yourself on how to do everything, first thing you need to do is stat, calc, either number 4 or number 8. Make sure your lists are good, 1 and 2. Go through everything here, calculate, boom. Oops, don't do what Mr. G just did. Don't forget to turn on your stat diagnostics. All right, try that again. There we go. So far everything looks okay. I see an R value indicating a fairly strong linear relationship between our 2 sets of data, but I'm going to check the graph. Can't just trust my numbers. So second Y equals, make sure your stat plot is on. Again, double check your data, hit graph. If you don't see everything, zoom, and number 9. Uh-oh, what do we see? Looks a little exponential to me. Something doesn't smell right. So let's do a residual check just to make sure. It could be linear and we just have some outliers, but to me it looks like I got a graph that's kind of, one of those cubic type of functions there. So second Y equals, if you don't remember how to do your residuals, go back into your stat plot and then make your Y list the residuals. So that is second, do what? X is list 1, yeah? Is that okay? Go to your list and then your residuals here. And then graph it again, zoom number 9. Remember I told you guys you're gonna see a pattern? It's gonna be obvious. You don't have to be, Waldo's detective. Do we see a pattern here? Pretty parabolic, right? Upside down. So this is now 2 red flags. The first one was like, maybe I just don't have enough data and there's some outliers. Now this is like, no, this is definitely not linear. Stop, hold the phone. So what we're going to do is look at our equations. So I'm going to go through it a little bit slow the first time just so you guys can see it. But when you do this on your own, this goes pretty quick. So the first option we're going to check is, okay, obviously just doing our X's as X's and our Y's as Y's, that was a fail. Okay, so the regular format did not work this time. So I'm going to go on to the next one. I just go in order. If you have one you like, you can pick one to go first, but I just go through the list in order. So the next thing we're going to do is keep the X's X, but we're going to change the Y's to the log of Y. And we're going to test. Does this fix the problem? If it does, we're good. If it doesn't, we got to move on. So to fix it, hit your stat button, go to your edit button. All right, and you'll see why I'm doing this in a second. I'm going over to list 4 because in a second we're probably gonna have to fix our X's and I wanna keep it in order. So I'm gonna go over to list number 4 and change my Y values to the log of Y. So remember how to do that. You hit the up arrow to get to the very top of the label here. And now I just type in that this whole row needs to be the log, which is that button there. And then my Y values are number 2. If I do that, I don't have to sit there and do all the logarithm stuff. It populates my whole list. Nice. Questions on that? So stat, edit. I skipped number 3 just because I know what I'm going to have to do in a second. You wouldn't do this, but this is what I know. I know this one's not going to work, so I'm just preempting myself. All right, so we go through the whole process again. So stat, calc. You got to do this step first because if you don't, your residuals don't get updated. So number 8, change your Y list to your new list, which I'm ranking a note over here so I don't forget. It's now number 4. Go through everything. All right, R value looks fine. So now we're going to go to the graph. So second Y equals. All right, we need to check that our L4 is here first. So number 4, graph it, hit zoom, hit number 9. What do we think? Did that fix our problem? No, so this is going to end up being a fail, but let's check the residual anyways, just to be good statisticians. So we see that this is definitely not linear, but it's always good to double check, to double it one more time to make sure it's doubled. So second, stat, residual, plus it's good practice for our calculator steps because we're going to do these a lot. So that, and then I can already kind of see, do we see a pattern? All right, so again, obviously you guys could skip some of these as you're going through it. They go a little bit faster if you're in a hurry on like a time test or stuff, but it's good to be able to do both of these. So we got 2 failures so far. What's our next combination? Log of X and log of Y. So this time I'm going to make my X L3 and my Y can just stay L4. I've already fixed that one. So here we go. Stat, edit, go over to number 3. I can help you in just a second, Skylar. Don't get panicked, man. So you're going to go up to the top of number 3. All right, remember you type in what you want. So we want to take our log of our X values, which is list 1. Okay, to double check you didn't actually do the same thing, they should be different. So now, here we go again. Jessica, you look so excited over there. Stat. She's like, how long is this going to take, Mr. G? Stat, number 8 again. All right, make sure you switch your X list this time to number 3. See all these little steps that are going to mess you up? It's all about practice. So we got 3 and 4 now as our lists. We calculate. Our value looks good. Okay, we don't have a 0 there, so that's a good first step. Go to your graph. Go into here, change both of them now. So you want number 3 and number 4. And we're going to hit graph, zoom, number 9. Oh, promise. I see promise. So far, so good. So let's check our residuals. Second, Y equals. Back into here. Let's change the Y list to the residuals. Second, stat, 7. Now you guys know how to memorize this stuff. Let me do this 3 more times today. Graph, zoom, number 9. Did we see a pattern? We are good. All right, so no pattern in our residuals. Our line looks linear and our R value made sense. So we can stop. You don't have to do any more. If you want to do the rest just to check, you can. But guess what? They're going to end up being curved again and not work. So this is our successful formula. So now what we do is you go back to your stat calc number 8 options. You need to get your formula back. So remember, it's in the format of Y equals A plus BX. Okay, but we changed our Y to now be log of Y, and we changed our X to now be log of X. So when I write the equation, I'm going to say log of Y hat is equal to, what's my A here? 0.0467. No, 68 if I round correctly. Plus my B value of 0.3165. But it's log of X, not just X. So you got to make sure you put all of that into your equation. So now we have our good prediction line. We're going to test it, make sure that it makes sense what we got, and show you guys how to read the answer from this, because your answer is now going to be spit out in that format. So how do I fix it? Because I can't use log of Y as my answer. I need Y hat as my answer, right? So we got to be able to fix our logarithms. Now, luckily, this is not like pre-cal or calculus where you got to do it all by hand. You just have to understand how logarithms still work. And you should be okay. If you don't, I'm going to tell you. So that's the nice thing. Because I don't use them except for this unit only. So, all right, so if you look at your notes, you have different values for X. So we're going to make a prediction at 100 and see, do we get an answer close to 4.0? Just kind of test our formula. So I'm going to put in 100 for my X value. So I'm going to say the log of Y hat is equal to 0.0468 plus 0.3165 times the log of 100. There's our formula on my test. So this is like something similar to a dog. All right, so I can just type it like I see it in my calculator. 0.0468 plus 0.3165. Hit the log button. And we're doing everything base 10 with our logs, so you don't have to sit there and do the conversions if you guys know what I'm talking about. Type in 100, press enter. So I get that the log of Y hat is equal to 0.6798. Now, this is where we got to remember, if I look at my answer for around 100, I don't get a decimal answer there. I get almost a 4. And that's because the answer is in the format of log of Y. So just a curiosity question, does anybody know how to fix this? I know Cindy said she's worked with logs, so she doesn't have to answer, but I didn't know if anybody else knew how to fix it. And if not, it's okay, I'm gonna show you. Any guesses? All right, if you look at your calculator, it's like they understand what we're gonna be doing. They're so smart at TI, we gotta give them credit sometimes. If you press this button, you get X squared. What is the opposite of X squared? Square root. If you press the natural log, what is the opposite of the natural log? E to the X. Haha, so what is my opposite of log gonna be? 10 to this X button here. So what I'm basically gonna do is press this button, but after I hit the blue second button. So second log, see how the little 10 pops up there? All right, and there's a little box. All you do is take this answer and plug it into that little space there. So just go back up to the top of your thing here, press enter. You want 10 to the power of that. Press enter. What you've done is taken it out of its logarithm format, and you get your answer of, what do we got here? 4.78. All right, now go back and look at your answers on the thing. Does 4.78 kind of fit into what I was looking at now? There you go. Again, we're just predicting. So it's okay, our prediction is not perfect. Like if you type the dog one in here, you're probably not going to get 4.0 back. But remember, all your lines were not directly on the dot. It was a prediction. All right, so that's how you do this stuff. So questions for me or anything I need to go over real quick, because I'm gonna let you guys try example number 2. All right, so some tips to keep your brain sane. All right, if you're gonna do the log of Y1 first with the X the same, I would make L4 your Y log of Y list just so it's like every other one. That way you have room for L3 to be your log of X if you need it. If you're doing these here on this one, then you can use 5 and 6 for these lists. That's what I do. So you can make square root of Y's and 1 over Y for those. So practice with example number 2. I'll put the data up there. Try not to put my answer at the bottom. There we go, there's my data. All right, and then so type this into L1, type all these into L2, and then I made a prediction at 550. You can make a prediction wherever you want. Give her a try, see what you get. Skylar, where'd you get stuck at, man, so I can help you out? Too many steps for you, too fast, or what? You doing okay? Let me know when you get stuck so I can help. So when I'm in the middle of explaining it for everybody, I can't stop this. Yeah, if anybody needs help, confused on the steps, not sure what to type in, now's your chance to ask me as you're going through it on your own. Let me get you, what you got? There's a way to do it. I want to say, you can say, which list do you want? 3 and 4, 5 and 6? Okay, well, let's say, all right, put them in real quick and then let's practice. I think there's a way to do it, I'm sure. It's just a lot more computer programming than it is nice and interfacing. While you put those in, I'm going to talk to, how many are right? Oh, yeah, I know your question is the same thing, right? Yeah, TA3, how else is the list? It's okay, no, I was going to reset it. Second, so you want to bring the catalog? I can bring mine. All right, so now your list up here. I don't know, and there's a way to make it go back, and I have to like sit down for like 20 minutes. Like, talk it to me, figure it out. I need to do that so I can help you guys. So you got to do the stat calc number 8 first, or we'll not give you the yeah. So each time you guys are going through this process, you have to do stat calc number 8 every time. You can't just go skip that step and go to the graph, because what's happening is the residuals won't be recalculated each time you do it. So you're getting that error. That's what's going on. It's a pain in the butt. But you need to. All right, okay, you listening? So you want 3 and 4 this time? 1 and 4? All right, so let's experiment. Let's see what happens. So we go stat, calc, number 8. I think you can do it like this. You can do, and if it doesn't need the parentheses, we can take out. I think you do number 1, comma, number 4, comma, and it should switch. Does that look like a different number? Write that down real quick. So write down negative 0.9986. That's all I need to do right now. We don't have to do one form. It'll change if it's not right. So now let's go into our regression and look and see if the graph is different. So you want 4, right? So we're going to go to our graph now. So, does that look different? Much the same. Yeah, last time I was going over. Let's do the residual plots. What? The same as I did. Okay, that's fine. Let's look at the regular list and see what happens. Okay. So we're just gonna say, oops, I didn't do anything. Now it's saying, no, it's a different number. So different. Because now it's 993. For the list, because I didn't do anything. It's just on 102. So I just hit. So when I went in there, I did stat, calc, and we can keep experimenting. So I just did parentheses, and then what I did is said, okay, I want L1, comma, I want L4. That's what I did. Okay. So try it with the other stuff and see if it does come up different. If it doesn't, then we'll just have to figure out from there. Skylar, you doing all right, man? Don't get mad at yourself. We're just practicing. You're just excited. It's hard to tell. If you're excited, I like the enthusiasm. Keep it going. But if you need help, I'm here to help you. All right, I'll give you guys about 4 more minutes. See what you get. If you don't have the answer yet, it's okay. It does take a little bit of time to do these. There's not really like a speedier shortcut other than what I showed you. And remember, it's always the last one you try, because why would you continue on further once you got it figured out? Zoom, we doing okay at home? Some people are drawing their residual plots on their paper to kind of help them organize. That's perfectly fine. Use whatever techniques you guys need to keep yourself organized. I make a little list of what I've placed in L1, 3, 4, whatever, just so I don't forget. When you think you got it figured out, predict the 550 and see if you get a number that's within that area that we would expect. It is a little weird, a little bit different. That's why we like linear regression better. We don't want to be afraid of all the data, so we have to know how to kind of work with our non-linear stuff too. All right, about 2 more minutes.
What?
Working, Skylar? What's happening? Bad luck stuff? Okay. It's always the last one you try, darn it.
I can't do my Bubba's calculator.
Try it. You can always go to the high school and tell them you need a better calculator because you don't have one. They need to be able to provide you one. If they don't have one, they need to get it. I just can't let you steal one of mine because they're the ones for the class. Right. You can go to the library or go to your house office and let them know you need one. And they'll find a way to sign one out to you. Yep. They'll sign one out to you, but you got to ask for it. Like you can't, I can't just give you one from class. We already had 2 disappear and I'm not going to be the one responsible for them. From last year, not from this year. But just like with your computer, they should be able to provide you with what you need. So just got to make that request.
Why didn't she error?
All right, so let's go over what I got for the formula, see if you guys got the same thing, and then we'll practice the prediction together, see if it works or makes sense. And then if you guys are good to go, then I'm going to go. So it was finally the last one is the one I got. 1 over y equals 1.6026 plus 0.0011x. That's the one I settled on. So you guys pretty much found was those you got that far. It was the very last one, so if you didn't get there yet, that's okay. But those you guys did, that makes I see a couple heads shaking yes. Connor and Sydney, a couple of you guys saying yes. Alora saying yes. Okay. Zoom, same thing. I can't see you guys' heads. You're hiding behind the shadows. So I don't know if you're watching me. All right, so that's what I got there. So I'm going to go ahead and practice. I'm going to plug in 550 just to see does my answer make sense according to the chart I have. So for me, this is going to be 1.6026 plus 0.0011, and then what was, oh yeah, 550. I was like, what number did I say? I'm getting old, guys. It's happening. All right, so there you go. That's my answer, but that's not the final answer because remember, that's what 1 over y equals. So 1 over y equals 2.2076. So I need to take 1 and divide it by that answer. And I'm going to get y hat is actually equal to 0.4530. So now if I look at my chart, does 0.4530 make sense at that range? So 550, yeah, 0.45 looks right there in between where I expected my numbers to be. So sounds like I found a good formula. Questions on any of this before I show you guys one last little trick to help you out? Okay, so just be careful. Whatever answers you get from here are not necessarily your final answer. So make sure you convert your answer to back to y hat. So I wrote this little cheat sheet over here, the way for you guys to convert your answers. So if your final answer is in the log y hat format, it's 10 to the power of whatever your answer is. If your answer is in the square root of y, then that's easy, just square your answer. And the one we just did, if your answer is in a y divided by y hat, then it's 1 divided by whatever your answer is. So you have to do these to get the final answer. Don't forget that last step. All right, so that pretty much sums this little craziness up here at the end of our regression unit. Last call for any questions on today's stuff before I say adios. All right, then as far as action items, we did our practice quiz, we did our nonlinear regression notes. You now have time to work on and complete your homework worksheets that are due today. Excuse me, worksheets 1 through 3. Please don't forget to submit those through Canvas. If you are done, then what we're going to do in class on Friday is, first and foremost, come back into class and grade our quizzes so we know how we did. Then you're going to have the rest of the class to work on homework. So you're going to be working on your FRQ packet, which we'll need done by Tuesday. You can start working on your Albert I.O. and your textbook review. Last class, I showed you guys where you can get your textbooks, so make sure you're doing that if you haven't done so already. Also, don't forget, now you have the last worksheet in your homework packet, this one here, nonlinear worksheet. That one's going to be due the Tuesday of next week as well. So we got a couple things coming up, and you'll have some time in class to work on them because I know people need calculators and asking help and that kind of stuff. Zoom, that's all I got for you today. If you got nothing else further, then you may have a good rest of your day. If you have questions, though, feel free to spend time here and I will help you out. Class, you guys know what you got to do.